Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here from Everyday Tactical Vids. Today we're looking at this, which is the brand new Klarus E1 flashlight. So a compact flashlight, definitely good for EDC, runs off an 18650 battery. Couple cool setups and features on it, so it's going to give you a lot of output, and it's going to give you two different output kind of configurations, an outdoor one and a tactical one as well. So here's a quick look at it, just so you can get a sense. Similar to like one of the batons, the larger batons from Olight, but actually slightly smaller than those lights. You do have that very low profile pocket clip, as you can see there. This is Klarus E1. You do have your pressure switch on the bottom, and then you have your little paddle as well. So I've been testing this thing out. I'm going to roll in footage during this video so you can see what it looks like being used at night, different settings around my house, shining it into the woods, things like that. Let me give you a quick rundown on the details of the light, and you'll see the footage, like I said, during this video, and I'll tell you what my experience has been with it so far. So you got four different outputs. You have 2 lumens, 100, 400, and 1000. And again, depending on if you have it in the outdoor setup versus the tactical setup, it's going to be putting those lights out in different order, and I'll explain that in a minute. You also have an SOS feature and a strobe feature. It is drop resistant to 1 meter, and it is IPX8 rated. Your LED is a Cree XPL high LED, and at your highest output, which is 1000 lumens, you're going to get about 190 meters as far as your beam distance. So on your moonlight setting, you're going to get 433 hours. That's your moonlight setting. On your low, you're going to get 14.5 hours. On your medium, you're going to get 3.4 hours. And on your high, you're going to get 1.5 hours of burn time. So in addition to the light, obviously, you're going to get some instructions right here. You do get this little bag that you can store you can store the flashlight, the instructions, and these other things in it. You get a micro USB for charging. And then also you're going to get, let's see, you get an O-ring and a lanyard. It looks like just one O-ring and a lanyard in here. I don't ever use the lanyard, so that's kind of secondary to me. But it does fit nicely in your pocket. It's, you know, it's a sleek EDC light. It's not like a keychain light size, but it's definitely small enough and comfortable in the pocket to be an EDC light. All right, so let me talk through how the light works. Obviously, you have your pressure switch on the bottom. You're gonna press that, and it's gonna come on, and then you've got the paddle button to select through the different outputs. So as you can see, that was high. Now it's dropping down to lower, lower, and then to the moonlight setting, so that's still on, and then back up to the high, lower, lower, lower. Now I'm gonna press it and turn it off, press it and come back on, and I can cycle through that same way. Now since this is in the tactical setting, if I hold down on the paddle, it's gonna go to strobe. So strobe warning, and then when I let go, it goes off, back on and off. So I've got 4 different setups, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if I hold down, it's gonna go to that strobe. All right. Now, if I want to switch it from the tactical to the outdoor setting, I'm going to hold down on the paddle for 5 seconds, and then once this little light here, let me see if you can see that, right there, once that little light flashes, while I'm holding down the paddle, I'm going to click on the pressure switch and release the paddle, right? So it's going to be flashing a little bit here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, see if you can see that light come on. It's flashing red and green now. Press on the pressure switch, release the paddle. Now I'm going to turn it off. Now it is in the outdoor setting. So now when I turn it on and I press the paddle, it's going to go from lower up to higher, right? Lower up to higher. And if I hold down onto the paddle now, it's going to go into SOS mode. So here we go, hold down, and now it's in SOS mode. So you've got strobe in the tactical, you got SOS in the outdoor. It's gonna go from low to high with the outdoor setting and high to low with the tactical setting. Now it's too light out right now for me to do it, so I'll roll in some footage from home, but when you turn on the light, that little light up there is gonna flash, and depending on the light color that flashes there, it's going to tell you how much battery power you actually have left. So nice feature that when you turn it on, you can see, okay, here's how much battery power I have left, and you know, I need to recharge it or whatever you need to do. Now there is no way to charge the battery when it's in the light, but when you take it out, you can see up on the top there, there's your tiny little micro USB. I haven't dug into those types of batteries that much, but I don't see any disadvantage, and I think there's probably way more advantage to having those types of batteries. So if you do have a light that you can plug a USB into the light to recharge it, great. But if you don't and you're using that type of battery, you could still recharge the battery as long as you have a micro USB. So I think that's definitely a win. It's kind of a unique looking reflector there, so it's definitely it's got a lot of texture to it. I wouldn't necessarily call it orange peel. It's really interesting though, but it's definitely not a smooth reflector. But that's kind of the rundown of the details. Let me talk about my experience with it as I roll in the actual footage here, so you can see what it looks like at night. The size of it is great. I like this size. I carry the S1 baton and the rechargeable version from Olight a lot. So this is bigger than that, but it does feel like slick. It does feel sleek still. Again, not like a keychain size, but putting this in my pocket doesn't feel like I'm carrying a larger or even a medium size flashlight. Definitely smaller than like the Striker and some of the Warriors from Olight, smaller than like the TC12 from ThruNite. So I definitely like that about it. I like the nice deep pocket clip as well. I like that you have the strobe feature and the SOS feature, and you're not going to accidentally bump into the strobe feature if you have it in the outdoor setting. Like, I'll prefer the outdoor setting. If some lights, depending on how many clicks you click on the pressure switch, you're going to accidentally get strobe. If you're in the outdoor setting, you're not going to get strobe at all, which I think is a plus. If you do want strobe, you're definitely going to have to, go over to the tactical setting and set it up like that. I don't really personally have a preference going low to high versus high to low as far as your outputs, but it is cool that you've got a couple different setups there. It does make sense to me that I would say for a tactical light that it's going to come on at the high setting and you're going to drop down to lower because you want to go quickly to the high setting as opposed to having to work up to that higher setting. As far as the interface, it works great. I do like the paddle. I think that's kind of a cool feature. You have the pressure switch, and having used it, the pressure switch and the paddle, I'm not bumping into them. Sometimes your paddle is just weirdly placed on a light. I had some lights probably a year ago that I was looking at, and consistently I just didn't like where the paddle was because my thumb was hitting it all the time. This one, I'm using the pressure switch and I'm not accidentally hitting the paddle at all. So that's definitely a plus too. Certainly, if it comes to downsides for this light, the fact that it doesn't run off a AAA or a AA battery, the 18650 is harder to find. But again, because this is rechargeable, and actually the battery is rechargeable, that's a win. I mean, this battery, even if you wanted to swap it out to another light, you've got a good battery that you can recharge without having it in the actual light. I always think that's a plus, like I said before. So that's definitely cool. I could use a little bit more texture on the light. Little, not aggressive, not super aggressive, but a little bit more aggressive. This is still pretty slick. I do find that when I hold it in my hand, it's not moving all over the place, but like I said, a little bit more texture for me would be an advantage, but it's all right as it is. One thing I have found with some of the Klarus flashlights is that the interface, it's not complicated. There's one or two buttons, but there's a lot of you have to like double click this, then triple click this, and then get to this different setup. So I like the way this is. You've got output, you've got tactical. You do something to get to the tactical setting, you're in that. Do something to get the outdoor setting, you're in that. So I like this amount. I'm one of the first Klaruses I looked at, and there was an Olight. I think it was the first Warrior X. It was the first Warrior that came out from Olight. It was just too complicated for me. Like, I was like, oh, what do I click to get to this and that? I want to be able to use the flashlight and not have to like spend a lot of time thinking about it. So if you like something you want to mess around with and have tons of features, there are other Klarus flashlights you can do that with. This one has enough settings for me that it's going to function well in the different ways I have it set up. Now, when you get a light like this that's relatively small, doesn't have a lot of huge fins, and you're going to be up around 1,000 lumens, for any lights, people are going to ask, well, what about the drop-down feature, and how, when it gets hot, is it going to drop down a lot? This has a built-in system, so when it gets hot, it's going to slowly bring your brightness down. It doesn't say exactly how long it's going to run at the high setting and then drop down, which I'd like to know a little bit more about, but the fact that it does have a system built in is good, because obviously it's not going to just fry your light. I ran this for a while. Last night it did get hot. I never got it hot enough to see it drop down, at least visually. I wasn't looking at it and saying, oh man, that's definitely like way less light than it was, 2 minutes ago or something like that. So that'd be something good to know in the future, Klarus, as far as your details in the manual. If you could tell people how long it runs at the different outputs and what the average drop down speed or the rate is to what lumens, I think that'd be good for folks to know. But they don't have that in the instruction manual, so I can't share any scientific data on that with you guys. For me, this light is definitely going to be in the EDC rotation. I do like it. When I first got it, I was like, yeah, maybe it's cool. And then having used it a bit, I'm like, yeah, this is definitely a light I've enjoyed using. I generally say I don't mind a larger flashlight, but I am finding this size right around there, maybe even a little bit bigger, is my preferred size. I used to carry a Surefire Fury around as an EDC light, and I do find it's not too big for me, but if I have a go-to, like I'm just going to grab a light out of my EDC gear, I'll usually go with something this size or maybe even a little bit smaller. So you will definitely see this in the EDC rotation more often, the Klarus E1. It's been a cool light. It's been a cool light. 1,000 lumens, for something this compact, and to have those different tactical and outdoor settings, I'm liking that a lot. So let me hear your thoughts on it. Having seen it here, having seen some footage, and especially if you own one, let's hear your thoughts on it. Price point for this looks like it's going to be out in a couple weeks from the time of this video, and we're looking at around 50 bucks for this, $50 for this at the time of the video. And it looked like October 2nd was when I saw that it was going to be starting to become available. So so yeah, check it out. I've got links below for this light if you want to purchase it. And yeah, let's get the discussion started. Let's hear your thoughts on the Klarus E1. All right, guys, thanks as always for checking out the videos. Please subscribe to Everyday Tactical Vids if you haven't done so already. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check us out on Instagram, Tumblr, and Vero as well. More videos coming soon. Take care.